In 1930, a cartoon character emerged who would shake the foundations of animation and challenge America's moral gatekeepers. Betty Boop made her debut in Dizzy Dishes as a dog-like character, but by 1932, animator Grim Natwick had transformed her into the iconic human flapper under Max Fleischer's studio leadership. With her signature boop-boop-a-doop catchphrase, shortened skirts, and rebellious spirit, this animated bombshell became a cultural lightning rod. Betty's popularity sparked legal drama that exposed animation's complex cultural roots. Jazz singer Helen Kane sued Fleischer Studios in 1934, claiming Betty had stolen her entire persona. The courtroom battle revealed something fascinating. Kane herself had borrowed her style from African-American performers like Baby Esther. The lawsuit failed, but it highlighted how animation was already reshaping popular culture and blurring the lines of artistic inspiration. What truly unsettled authorities were Betty's cartoons themselves. These weren't children's fare. They explored adult themes with surreal dream sequences that felt more like hallucinations than wholesome entertainment. Her 1933 Snow White featured bizarre imagery that would make Salvador Dali proud. The Hays Office, Hollywood's moral watchdog, launched a campaign against Betty's suggestive content. By 1934, the censors prevailed. Betty's hemline dropped, her curves softened, and her sass was toned down. The flapper who once embodied jazz-age defiance was recast in more conventional roles. Yet Betty's merchandising juggernaut was already in full swing. Dolls, comics, and sheet music flooded the market, proving that controversy could fuel commercial success. Her legacy as what many consider animation's first feminist icon endures, even if her edge was dulled. Some believe Betty's transformation mirrored America's shift from the roaring 20s rebellious spirit to a more restrained cultural climate. In 1949, television sets across America flickered to life with something unprecedented, the first animated series created specifically for the small screen. Crusader Rabbit didn't just debut that year, it redefined Saturday morning entertainment. Alex Anderson and Jay Ward, the creative minds behind this pioneering show, faced a harsh reality. Television budgets couldn't support the lavish animation Disney had perfected for theaters. Their solution? Limited animation. A streamlined approach using fewer frames and repeated backgrounds. Initially dismissed as low quality, this technique became a cornerstone of TV animation. The show's serialized format was equally groundbreaking. Each 5-minute episode ended with a cliffhanger, leaving Crusader Rabbit and his bumbling sidekick Raglan T. Tiger in peril. Kids across the country were hooked, eager to see how their heroes would escape. But success came with complications. Legal disputes over character ownership between Anderson and producer Jerry Fairbanks led to production delays and multiple reboots throughout the 1950s. Some believe these conflicts inspired Ward's later insistence on creative control for Rocky and Bullwinkle. Though it eventually faded from the spotlight, Crusader Rabbit's influence is undeniable. Its animation style became industry standard, its cliffhanger format inspired countless series, and its innovative spirit proved that television animation could thrive on ingenuity rather than big budgets. The show's legacy lives on in every cartoon that dared to think small screen big. In 1950, a peculiar little boy named Gerald McBoing burst onto movie screens with a voice unlike any other. He could only communicate through sound effects. This 7-minute animated short, released by United Productions of America, didn't just win the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film, it marked a turning point in animation history. UPA's bold gamble paid off. While Disney favored realism and lush visuals, Gerald McBoing embraced minimalism. Geometric shapes, bold colors, and stylized simplicity. This wasn't just rebellion. It was a calculated artistic shift that would influence generations of animators. The story's heart came from an unexpected source, Dr. Seuss. Theodore Geisel's whimsical script carried a powerful message about embracing difference. Gerald's sound effects speech, from train whistles to foghorns, became his strength, not his flaw. The character's popularity extended beyond the screen. 3 more shorts followed between 1953 and 1955, along with a radio series and a CBS television adaptation in 1956. Some argue that these later versions diluted Gerald's unique charm, turning a poignant tale into more conventional fare. UPA executives reportedly feared that Gerald's avant-garde appeal might not translate to weekly TV. Today, Gerald McBoing stands as a symbol of creative risk-taking, proving that unconventional voices can leave the most lasting impressions. In 1957, as America looked skyward at Sputnik, television screens lit up with something equally groundbreaking. The first color cartoon series, made for TV. Colonel Bleep crash-landed in living rooms with atomic-age flair, blending space-age optimism with Cold War anxiety. Created by Robert D. Buchanan and Jack Schley, the show featured a surreal trio: Colonel Bleep, an alien space cowboy, Squeak, a mute puppet boy, and Scratch, a caveman. Their adventures looked like Salvador Dali had storyboarded Flash Gordon. The visuals and sound design pushed boundaries few dared to approach. Colonel Bleep captured the contradictions of the atomic era. While families prepared for fallout, the show offered escapist fantasies where technology was a friend and aliens were allies. His modernist themes reflected both hope and unease about the future. Tragically, most episodes were lost due to poor preservation practices common in early television. Surviving prints are now prized by collectors and historians alike. Some believe entire story arcs vanish forever, leaving only fragments of this vibrant vision. Colonel Bleep's legacy isn't just about being first, it's about daring to experiment when TV animation was still in its infancy. Even in its incomplete form, it remains a bold testament to creativity that reached for the stars. In 1958, while major studios hesitated on television's potential, a modest cartoon called The Adventures of Spunky and Tadpole quietly changed the game. It was one of the first animated series created specifically for syndication, bypassing traditional networks entirely. Produced on a shoestring budget by Beverly Hills Productions, the show featured Spunky, a boy, and Tadpole, his talking bear sidekick. The animation was stiff and repetitive, but its quirky charm stood out in a sea of polished Disney fare. What truly captivated young viewers was the serialized storytelling. Each episode ended with a cliffhanger, keeping kids coming back day after day. The show's oddball villains and unpredictable plots added to its appeal. Rumors suggest the creators turned to syndication after being rejected by major networks for being too unconventional. Their gamble paid off. Local stations could buy episodes independently, filling time slots without network oversight. This grassroots model would later inspire a wave of independent animation. Though it eventually faded as production standards rose, Spunky and Tadpole's legacy lies in its trailblazing distribution model. It proved that creativity and clever strategy could outmaneuver corporate gatekeeping. Bob Clampett's Time for Beanie Puppet Show debuted in 1949 as a seemingly innocent children's program. But beneath the surface, it was a subversive force that would later explode into animated chaos with the Beanie and Cecil show in 1962. The original live-action puppetry captivated Los Angeles audiences and earned multiple Emmy Awards. When Clampett transitioned to animation, he unleashed a whirlwind of cartoon physics and biting satire. What looked like kid-friendly fare was packed with layered humor. The show lampooned politics, pop culture, and authority figures with rapid-fire gags and double meanings. Dishonest John, the mustache-twirling villain, became a parody of corruption, while other characters skewered Hollywood and societal norms. Clampett reportedly tested how much subversive content he could sneak past network censors. His influence is evident in later shows like Ren and Stimpy, whose creators cited Beanie and Cecil as a major inspiration. Merchandise flew off shelves, plush toys, comics, and more, cementing the show's cult status. Its enduring appeal lies in its refusal to talk down to viewers, offering something for both kids and adults. Saturday morning television in 1963 welcomed a new kind of hero, a muscle-bound demigod from Greek mythology with a distinctly Canadian twist. The mighty Hercules, produced in Toronto by Adventure Cartoon Productions, brought ancient legends to life with a mix of myth and melodrama. The show embraced limited animation, favoring expressive voice acting over fluid motion. What it lacked in visual finesse, it made up for with dramatic flair. Every line was delivered with theatrical intensity, even when Hercules battled villains with baffling motives. These antagonists were a wild mix of classical and comic book influences. Daedalus became a scheming inventor, while the Mask of Vulcan turned Roman mythology into cartoon villainy. The result was a blend of educational references and absurd storytelling. The show's theme song, performed by Johnny Nash, became an earworm for a generation. Kids sang along as Hercules tackled bizarre challenges with brute strength and bewildering logic. Some believe the exaggerated voice acting was a tongue-in-cheek parody of American superhero tropes, though the creators never confirmed this. Despite its short run from 1963 to 1966, the show spawned merchandise that outlived the series. The iconic Hercules ring became a playground staple, turning kids into temporary demigods. Today, it remains a nostalgic relic of a time when Saturday mornings were ruled by heroes with oversized muscles and even bigger personalities. On October 4th, 1961, 3 animated chipmunks made their primetime debut on CBS, launching a musical phenomenon that would outlive its original run. Ross Bagdasarian's The Alvin Show brought Alvin, Simon, and Theodore to life, using a groundbreaking audio technique. Bagdasarian had perfected the method in 1958 with The Chipmunk Song, recording his voice at slow speed and playing it back faster to create the chipmunk's signature squeaks. This analog innovation gave each character a distinct personality: Alvin's mischief, Simon's intellect, and Theodore's sweetness. The show blended slapstick with sophisticated musical numbers, setting a precedent for animated musical programming. Though it lasted only one season, it sparked a merchandising empire and a revival in 1983. Some believe the show's short run added to its mystique, transforming it into a nostalgic icon that continues to influence animated music shows today. In 1959, television audiences encountered something truly bizarre: a cartoon where real human lips moved on static animated faces. Clutch Cargo introduced the Synchrovox technique, developed by Clark Haas, to stretch a tiny budget of $3,500 per episode. The result was unintentionally mesmerizing. Clutch, his sidekick Spinner, and their dog Paddlefoot embarked on globe-trotting adventures that felt more like surreal fever dreams than children's programming. The floating lips became the show's most unforgettable and unsettling feature. Critics panned the series for its crude visuals, but audiences were strangely captivated. His campy charm turned ridicule into cult admiration. Some say the show's eerie aesthetic influenced underground animators long before mainstream recognition. Parodied by The Simpsons and Family Guy, Clutch Cargo is now seen as a so-bad-it's-good classic. What began as a budget workaround became a defining example of how creative limitations can produce the most memorable and uncanny television of the golden age. Long before the Tick brought superhero parody into the mainstream, a feline and rodent duo was already poking fun at caped crusaders with sharp wit. Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse premiered in 1960, created by Bob Kane, the credited co-creator of Batman, though Bill Finger's essential contributions remained unacknowledged at the time. Kane's decision to satirize the very genre he helped define was both daring and clever, crafting a show that playfully deconstructed superhero tropes. The series leaned into absurdity with its gadget obsession. The Catmobile zoomed through animated streets, while the Catgun fired everything from nets to knockout gas, an obvious jab at the era's over-reliance on high-tech heroics. These weren't just gimmicks. They were Kane's commentary on the genre's growing dependence on tools over character. What elevated the show beyond simple spoof was its jazz-infused soundtrack and a rogues gallery that was as theatrical as it was ridiculous. Villains like the Frog and the Shark delivered over-the-top schemes with comedic flair. Despite a modest animation budget, sparse backgrounds, and limited movement, the scripts delivered clever dialogue that never talked down to its audience. Syndication turned this cartoon into a cult classic, its influence echoing through decades of animated satire. Many believe its DNA can be found in later parodies like The Tick and other modern superhero send-ups. For a show that lasted just one season, its legacy as one of television's earliest superhero spoofs remains remarkably resilient, proof that the best tributes often come wrapped in affectionate mockery. September 1963 introduced a bold experiment in children's television. The Funny Company didn't just aim to entertain, it set out to prove that education could be genuinely fun. This wasn't another run-of-the-mill cartoon. It was a full-on challenge to the idea that learning had to be dull. Thanks to Mattel's sponsorship, producers Ken Snyder and his team had the freedom to blend slapstick humor with real educational content. The show followed a quirky group of kids running their own club, with each episode weaving factual lessons into wild, imaginative adventures. Unlike the preachy tone of many educational shows of the time, the funny company trusted its young viewers to learn through laughter. Segments like Shrink and Violet, which shrank characters to microscopic size to explore biology, and Super Chief, who turned history into action-packed escapades, pushed creative boundaries. These weren't just gimmicks, they were a reimagining of how to teach through storytelling. While its direct influence on later shows like Schoolhouse Rock is debated, the funny company is widely recognized as a trailblazer. Its innovative approach proved that kids could grasp complex ideas when presented with creativity and respect. Though it never reached the fame of its successors, its impact on educational programming remains undeniable. The show's legacy is a reminder that learning and laughter can go hand in hand. In October 1960, American audiences were introduced to a royal court unlike any other, a Lion King named Leonardo and his skunk advisor, Odie Cologne. King Leonardo and his short subjects wasn't just another cartoon, it was Total Television's ambitious attempt at anthology storytelling, laying the groundwork for Saturday morning programming. The show's segmented format packed multiple mini-adventures into each episode. Viewers might see Tudor Turtle's time-traveling blunders or the Hunter's slapstick safaris, keeping the experience fresh and unpredictable. King Leonardo himself was the ultimate well-meaning monarch whose plans always went hilariously awry. His brother and nemesis, Itchy Brother, delivered villainy with theatrical flair, elevating the humor beyond standard cartoon fare. The blend of sophisticated wordplay and absurd scenarios gave the show a unique charm. Behind the scenes, creators Buck Biggers and Chet Stover used the series as a testing ground for narrative experimentation. Many believe the lessons learned here directly influenced their later successes like Underdog and Tennessee Tuxedo. Though King Leonardo's reign ended in 1963, its influence endured. The show proved that even the most chaotic kingdoms could leave a lasting mark on animation history. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.